This is a presentation of Fox Sports, IMG, and Gator Vision.
Welcome to Eye on the Gators. Today we delve into the classroom as we discuss academic excellence with the Senior Associate Athletic Director of Academics, Jeff Guin, who is returning to the University of Florida, where he once spent time as a basketball manager. Let's hear how he feels to be back.
You know, it was kind of surreal. The past year, it went fast, but walking around campus after 20 years, sometimes it's like, oh, wow. You know, yeah, I remember this place, I remember that place, but then you see new buildings and how much has been built during that time. And the opportunity to come here and be back home and be at a place where, you know, it speaks volumes of the consistency across all the different departments, and, you know, because it just talks about the people and the culture that's been built here, and excited about being back here in Gainesville.
Can you take me through a little bit of the process as to how an academic advisor works with student athletes, how they get to know their learning abilities, get to know how their learning styles, get to know their classes and coursework? I imagine it's got to be a huge challenge, you know, a biology major and a media major and, you know, all kinds of different majors. Yeah.
You know, it's a whole village, even within our own department. You know, we're kind of broken up into three areas with our academic counselors, but also our learning services unit, and then our student athlete enhancement. The academic advisors with the freshmen, I mean, immediately when they come in for orientation, our learning specialists will screen all of our incoming student athletes, and that's just to kind of see where they're at when they're coming in the door, but also to kind of get some background information that they'll share with our academic counselors, so that way they're both on the same page of trying to figure out how does this student learn, because everybody's different, and how they learn and what is the best fit for them. From there, our academic counselors will meet with the freshmen one-on-one meetings throughout the week, their whole freshman year. And then our goal is at the end of that freshman year to show that the student athlete's proven to us that, you know, I got it, I got the time management down, I have my goals in place, and I'm able to handle my stuff and handle my business. But it really kind of develops that first year, that bond, that relationship where they realize that, hey, this is someone I can go to, that I can talk to, and when I have questions and looking for guidance on their career choices.
How do you build an academic program in terms of integrating with a student athlete's life when their demands are games and practice and fatigue? You know, how do you build an academic system for that?
You know, the biggest thing is you got to have good people. And with the staff that we have in place here, our team is just simply amazing. I feel very fortunate to work with the people that we have here. And, you know, it speaks volumes when you have people in our department that have been doing it for 30 plus years, 20 plus years. And it's just a strong unit, and that really serves our student athletes well.
How does it work in terms of that balance that student athletes are dealing with? How do you, for lack of a better term, coach them up to be able to handle, you know, the demands that they have?
You know, the biggest thing is when they come in as freshmen, you're meeting with them on a weekly basis, and their head's spinning. You know, they're going to 5 different classes, they got practice, they got workouts, they got weights, study hall, tutor appointments, they got to go see the trainer, their nutrition. There's all these different things pulling at them. And really our biggest role, and the thing that we really try to tackle with our freshmen, is helping them realize you can do all this. And really it takes that first semester. Once they get that first semester on their belt, for the majority of them, they realize, okay, I can do this, I can be successful. And they start to prioritize what's important and when they need to do it, and understanding the value of sleep, you know, nutrition, because those are things that fuel your body. So not only so you can be successful in your sport, but you can be successful in the classroom and be able to excel in all areas.
I've had a good opportunity to have a lot of student athletes in some of the classes that I teach, and I think what's amazing is that they don't fit the stereotype, right? They are locked down in terms of getting everything done because of that time management issue that we deal with. How do you fight the stereotypes of the student athlete part?
We have to tell their story. And that's our job, is to try to help get that, because they do a lot of amazing things. Our student athletes last year had a GPA average of a 3.13 across the board. When you look at how many student athletes, over 300 were on a SEC academic honor roll. All of our teams are a B- or above average GPA. There's just all the success, and then when you combine in there, they're also doing nearly 4,000 hours of community service combined. They do a lot of success, and then our job is to help tell that story and to get that out to campus, to get that out to the community, for people to see all the wonderful things they're doing.
I have always thought that's got to be one of the biggest challenges. I mean, time management being one, but the other one is how do I get professional experience? Because you hear the messages on the commercials all the time, hey, none of you are going pro except for a couple of you. Do they hear that message?
Even the ones that are going to go pro and that have that opportunity, at best, you're still going to, you might be done when you're 25, 28, 30, 32. You still have a lifetime left to live. And helping them realize that and saying, what do you want to do the rest of your life? And we get that message across through our staff, but also through guest speakers, just through programming with people on campus and partnering with people on campus. It really helps that when they hear it from different angles and from former student athletes, that they start to get that picture and realize, hey, there is more that I can do. But the biggest thing is really getting them to understand that they all have so many gifts and talents and that they can use those in different ways other than just their sport.
Up next, we'll find out how the Hawkins Center team helps Gator athletes transition to life after college. Eye on the Gators. We'll be right back.
All of them at some point will have a class that says you got to turn in a resume. And then they start going, I don't have anything to put on my resume. Well, they do. They have a lot of transferable skills, resiliency, competing, taking feedback and criticism. Employers love those skills because they know that it's someone that's going to be hungry and that knows what it takes to make things better.
Eye on the Gators, presented by Wells Fargo, is brought to you by Pepsi, the official soft drink of the Florida Gators, by Gatorade, fueling today, fueling the future, and by Wells Fargo. Together, we'll go far.
With all the time athletes commit to their sport, they might find it hard to develop their resumes. Let's hear how the Hawkins Center team helps Gator athletes transition to the professional world using the very skills they learned from their sports.
One of our departments within that Hawkins Center is Student Athlete Enhancement, and Valerie Flanoy and Allison Forrest do a great job focusing on personal development and leadership skills, career development. This past summer, for instance, we're piloting a program with our student athletes where 9 student athletes are doing internships here in Gainesville. Because one of the things about a student athlete is they start at such a young age, their sport, and it dominates their life. And some of them go to that one sport and they're doing it year round at such a young age that rarely now when you ask in our orientations how many have had a summer job, there's not many hands that go up. Then they get into college and now they're really ramping up the time that they're spending in their sport and their academics. And as they start going through, they're saying, I don't have anything on a resume. Well, they do. They have a lot of transferable skills, but yes, they still want to have that experience that they can put on there. And so this internship program we started this summer has been one where a student athlete during summer A or summer B will not be enrolled in a class, but they'll be focusing 20 hours a week on this internship placement. And it's helping them get some experience and develop their career development in a resume and mock interviews and so forth. And it's been a great experience for our student athletes. We've had some that have been doing it at Shands and Exact Tech and also at the UF Crime Prevention Research Center. And our student athletes have seen things such as medical devices being put into cadavers, all the way to one of our student athletes observed brain surgery this past week.
Wow. And
everything. So, I mean, they're getting a tremendous experience along with their professional growth that's going to prepare them for life after college here.
How do you teach that in terms of for them to have that on their radar, for them to think about, hey, this isn't just about passing this class, this is about you're going to learn something that's going to get you to where you want to go post-college?
With our student athletes, Allison does a great job heading up our career development, and she has a lot of one-on-one meetings with our student athletes, and she'll go to the teams and say, and start meeting with them as early as their sophomore year to help them realize, hey, let's look at your strengths, and if you're having trouble, and academic counselors will refer our student athletes to Allison, and just saying, go visit with her, let's look at your strengths, what your interests are, to help you maybe identify a career. Sometimes you kind of work backwards. You say, well, what is it that you want to do? What do you picture you doing the rest of your life? And they start talking about their career interest, and then from there kind of work backwards to help find a major. Allison does a great job. They'll continue that by providing workshops, whether it's resume write-in, mock interviews, any of those other career development areas, and partnering with the Career Resource Center that they can build their skill set and feel confident when they go out there to interview and network and everything. But again, preparing them through our internship program in the summer, the one-on-one meetings that she has with them, it really helps our student athletes grow, that they're ready to enter the world and they have an idea of what they want to do.
I've talked to a number of people in various industries who say, you know what, we love hiring student athletes, right? And it's not that they have the most experience. It's not that, whatever it is, it's that they have all these skills that they've gained through playing a sport and managing everything. How much do you emphasize that?
We tell them that every day, especially when it comes to resume writing. And all of them at some point will have a class that says you have to turn in a resume. And then they start going, I don't have anything to put on my resume. And you start talking about the skills that they have, that they've earned, that they've learned through athletics, whether it's resiliency, getting back up when you've been knocked down, competing, taking feedback and criticism and everything. They've learned all those things that are going to help them be successful and to be transferable. And employers love those skills and student athletes because they know that it's someone that they can teach and someone that's willing to learn and someone that's going to be hungry and that knows what it takes to make things better and everything. And so employers a lot of times will come to Allison and to our group just look and say, hey, do you have any student athletes that are graduating in this area this year? Because they understand the skills that they've learned as a student athlete that are transferable to their profession.
What else is part of the formula for life skills?
The personal development. Our student athletes have a lot of great opportunities for leadership here. They, whether it's through our Student Athlete Advisory Council, who looks at things for our student athletes and helps present issues to our administration. They also are a driving force for our community service. Our student athletes are involved in many of the schools here in Alachua County, and as well as some bigger projects, such in the fall as our Gator Tracks, which is a program that collects shoes for children in need here in the Alachua County schools, and then delivers those around the holidays for them. We also have Climb for Cancer, where it's some children in the area that have been battling cancer. It's a day where they come out and kind of do a little of the Olympics with our student athletes and go through all the different sports and get to just be a kid that day. And our student athletes are great because they're just kind of like big kids out there playing with them and teaching them some of the sports and everything.
Coming up next, we'll get to meet a few members of the Hawkins Center team. We'll be right back.
I like to think of myself as a resource for my student athletes. And so whatever questions they have or whatever problems or concerns they have, I can provide those answers.
But every day is a little different, which is one of the reasons I love the job.
This segment is brought to you by Wells Fargo. Together, we'll go far.
Welcome back to Eye on the Gators. Let's head on in to the Hawkins Center to meet some members of their team.
I like to think of myself as a resource for my student athletes. And so whatever questions they have or whatever problems or concerns they have, I can provide those answers.
Day-to-day usually involves seeing a lot of students. We get a lot of student traffic pretty much every day of the week, being in the middle of campus. When kids are coming to class or coming to tutoring, we're constantly seeing them, meeting with them, setting up tutoring, following up with them on any kind of issues that are going on. So constantly kind of in their daily lives.
So I'm a resource for all the student athletes, which is exciting because I get to work with all the different personalities and people that are here.
It changes every day. You come in maybe with a plan of what you're going to get done, and then an emergency comes up and a student has a question or an issue, and you got to kind of change focus and help them tackle that issue. So it's definitely touching base with your students, keeping on track of them, making sure that they have the resources in place to be successful. But every day is a little different, which is why one of the reasons I love the job.
Each day brings something different. I think each day brings new challenges, kind of new wondering, new beginnings, new problems to solve. I think that's what kind of keeps it fresh. It's also great working with a really unique group of student athletes that come from all different parts of the country, all different parts of the world, with different visions, with different goals, to help them figure those out. When they come in as a young 18-year-old, when they leave here as a college graduate, I think that's really the key, and just helping them figure themselves out is wonderful.
Definitely have to develop strong relationships. You have to know what motivates them, what makes them tick, and then that helps you to be able to follow up with them to making sure that they're going to be successful in the classroom and in life.
Everyone's obviously different, so you have to develop kind of a relationship with everybody in different ways. Some you may hit it off right away, some may be quiet, but I think just the way we get to know them when we recruit them as a student athlete. So some of them we're meeting in 9th grade, and 4 more years before they get to UF. Then we have 4 years here, so by the time they leave here, sometimes you're talking about 6 to 8 year relationship that you've had with the student and get to know them and their family pretty well.
With everyone, it's a little bit different. Some of the things I try and do is just be approachable, be recognizable. If I see them out or see them in games or see them in different settings, I think that's real important. I also like to make certain that they know that they can reach me. And so if they have a question, if they have a concern, they can know how to get a hold of me. Make sure that I'm providing them again with the information they need. Kind of talk to them not only about academic academic stuff, but maybe about life things, maybe about sport things along those lines.
I help with any components of career development. So people looking for jobs, coming in for interviews, updating LinkedIn, figuring out what they want to do after graduation. It's exciting, but there's also a little of like, what am I doing after graduation? So I think it's rewarding to see them when they kind of walk across the stage and they know what they're doing, but you kind of get to see them at all levels. You get to see them while they're out competing, but then also knowing what they're doing behind the scenes and working towards that career afterwards, and building that relationship. So when they leave here, they feel prepared, they know what they're doing. Then they come back and they get their first job, and now they want to recruit other student athletes. So it's a lifelong relationship.
You get a new crop of students every year, and so obviously that brings about new challenges. Getting to meet new people, trying to make sure that you know what motivates them, and then watching them be able to grow and mature over those 4 years. Obviously, college is an important time frame in students' lives, and so being able to watch them grow and kind of see where they're from when they get here as a freshman to where they're at as a senior, graduating, walking across that stage is always very rewarding.
I think the reward is when they get that full-time job, or they have that aha moment of realizing what they want to do, and especially when they get to come back and now recruit other student athletes to work for them and share their stories, share their vision, and how they got to where they are. Now they get to come back and do that.
You see some of them come back, 10, sometimes 20 years later, and they're adults and they have families, and that's real neat. So I do this because you see them grow, you see them graduate, you see them become successful as professionals, if it's in their sport or in the real world, and I think that's why we do it, to help them succeed, number one.
It's a process. It starts from day one when they get here with career development, but I think at the end of the day, when they get that job and they're successful afterwards and after wearing that Florida jersey, it's really rewarding for me.
When we return, we'll find out even more about what the Hawkins Center provides our Gator athletes. Eye on the Gators will return in just a moment.
From afar, I'd seen the pictures, and when I came for my interview, the pictures just don't do it justice. Our student athletes truly have the best of both worlds here, competing in the SEC and getting their education at the University of Florida.
This segment has been brought to you by Gatorade, fueling today, fueling the future. Eye on the Gators, presented by Wells Fargo, is brought to you by Pepsi, the official soft drink of the Florida Gators, by Gatorade, fueling today, fueling the future, and by Wells Fargo. Together, we'll go far.
Now it's time for us to get a better look at the Hawkins Center and the facilities it provides our Gator athletes.
From afar, I'd seen the pictures, and when I came for my interview, the pictures just don't do it justice and everything. I've been fortunate to work at some other institutions in the Big Ten, SEC, and nothing comes close to what we have here in this facility. Our student athletes truly have the best of both worlds here, competing in the SEC and getting their education at the University of Florida. And then to have this building, the space that we have for them, the people, it's amazing and everything. And I think the greatest sign that you'll see that tells you how great this place is that the student athletes, they come here just to hang out, even when they don't have anything to work on academically, or they're in between classes. Instead of going back to their dorm or going maybe to their team room, they'll come here. They'll hang out downstairs in the lounge, and they're visiting, talking to other student athletes on other teams, and really getting to know each other. But it's a place they want to be, and a place that they want to just hang out.
Sometimes when we take the word student athlete, we kind of separate them, right? But I think what's really interesting is it's all really joined together. And one of the features of having nutrition right here in the building, right? Nutrition isn't just for athletics, but it's for academic performance and recovery and everything. What do you have set up here for nutrition-wise?
Nutrition, they have a great facility downstairs where they'll do cooking lessons with our student athletes, and sometimes they'll do breakfast, sometimes they'll do lunch and everything. And you can tell what they're doing that day. When it's breakfast day because you'll smell the bacon and everything cooking as you walk in the building, which can be tough on us staff sometimes because it makes you a little hungry a little earlier than you like. But they do a great job providing those lessons for the student athletes because, yes, they have the snack bars here for them that can help them fuel up in between classes, but teaching them how to cook and do things that they can do when they're going to the grocery store and being smart, whether they're trying to gain weight or lose weight or put on muscle and everything. Those are some skills that they'll take with them and that they'll use after they leave here.
And you have an area for them to practice public speaking. Why is that skill so important for them?
They'll do that the rest of their life. They'll do that during their career here in a lot of the classes. They do it in front of the camera when they all have a mic in front of them for almost with every event just being televised. That room alone gives them that opportunity to practice those skills, and they can go in there and record their speech and then go back and review it with their tutor and look over and make sure everything looks good and is buttoned up and and everything, and it puts them in a better situation than they would have been just walking in the class cold.
And one of the more interesting aspects is that these lab spaces and workspaces are all different. They're not the same, and I think that the purpose may be to tailor towards different learning styles and different needs. Is that what you see happening? People like working in groups or like working by themselves? How does that work?
It's essential. When you walk through a room, you'll see students that you can tell which ones that really like to just have complete silence, because they'll be in a room by themselves or off in a corner by themselves. And then there's those that they have to have people around them. They have to have interaction, just because that's how they learn best, by talking through it with someone else, with other people in their class. You have some that like to have the music going, and you'll stop and ask them. You say, hey, what did you just read? And they'll rattle off, well, I'm studying this for physics or chemistry or math, and I can't do that. Those people always amaze me, because if I was listening to something, I would be like, oh my gosh, I'd have to have complete silence, or otherwise I'd have to read the page all over again. But that's one of the beauties of this building, as you hinted at.
So just in terms of practicality, one of the great things is it's sitting here right in the middle of campus. How important is that for your student athletes?
It's convenient. Their time is so precious, between workouts and classes and study time. This building's almost like a bridge for them from the athletic facilities to campus in that sense, and they can stop here and fuel up. And the beauty of it too is we're open 6 days a week and everything. We're open Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. at night. Friday, 8 to 5. Saturday, we're closed. And Sunday, we open up back again at 2 o'clock until 10 o'clock. It's a place it's a resource for them that they can use just about any time of the week, whenever they want to be here.
Thanks for joining us this week on Eye on the Gators. We'll see you next time.
This segment has been brought to you by Wells Fargo. Together, we'll go far. This has been a presentation of Fox Sports, IMG, and Gator Vision.